Joey Bars, bitch. Tell me the words, just let me know, you are now tuning in, to the Hacho J Show. Give me the words, just let me know, you are now tuning in, to the Hacho J Show. Yeah, Hacho J, 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 Hacho J. This is the Hacho J Show. Yeah, yeah.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy, the one and only Hacho J23, coming to you live with another edition of Independent Scene, episode 170. I want to take this opportunity right now to thank you guys for joining me on this edition of episode 170. I got a really dope artist coming through, checking, tapping in with us, plugging in with us. Shouts out to a very dope artist who goes by the name of Black Trevor, creating me such a dope interest thing for my podcast. So shouts out to him. And so with that being said, this is the first time that so I hope that you guys will embrace him and rock with him the long way as I've continued to do. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Independent Scene, the podcast for the first time in the hot seat, the one and only, the homie, the bro, CritStatus. Let's get it. Yes, sir. Yeah. What's going on, brother?
Welcome. What's up?
What's going on, man? How you been, man?
Man, it's been a hot minute. I've been trying to keep my head on straight during COVID, trying to get school and stuff together. Other than that, been chilling. How about yourself?
Man, cooling, man. I here trying to, trying to get this work, man. Trying to, continue to build these relationships and network, man. But definitely, it's always a pleasure and an honor to be able to, tap in with new people, and especially with it being their first time. So I definitely try to let people know that. Make sure whenever you come to this show, man, definitely, feel free to, kick back, relax, enjoy yourself. Feel free to express yourself however you see fit. And with that being said, man, like I said again, first time, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you. And for the people that don't know you, let people know who you are, all that good stuff, and then we're going to jump right into it.
All right. So for those that don't know, my name is CritStatus, although my real name is Parrish. I end up doing YouTube content. I stream on Twitch. Most of my stuff is varied between sketches that I want to dive into. At least I'm going to start doing more sketches. I'm doing photography as a major in college right now, a little bit of videography as well. I recently got some camera equipment, so I'm definitely going to be starting with that very, very soon. Hopefully over the weekend I can get started with that. I started off streaming just regular video game stuff and content. I know I tried to dabble into a little bit of music engineering for a little bit of time. I took a few courses on it, messed around with some stuff with my uncle, and we ended up doing just a small little thing. I don't make anything extravagant, anything lyrical or anything like that. It's more of just chill beats and stuff that I would just casually vibe to or just sit around the house and lounge with. But other than that, I spend most of my time just making entertaining content on YouTube, Twitch, whatever the heck I can get my hands on, Instagram even from time to time, and all around just doing whatever I can.
Yes, sir. Well, we definitely, once again, from the Hacho J Squad, we definitely appreciate you for tapping in with us, rocking with us. All right, so first things first, man. You mentioned getting into, being out here on YouTube and being the YouTube, streamer, man. What made you tap into being a YouTube streamer and want to create content the way that you created it?
It's something about the beauty of making something that you personally enjoy. It's more of just it's not something that you do just, I think of a simple idea and then you just go out and post it. No, it's more of what drives you to really, entertain in a way. Because at the end of the day, that's what you are, an entertainer, an influencer, a content creator, whatever title you want to give it. You're doing something for an audience so that way you can keep them entertained for a little bit. So normally I would take, say, video games, for example. I can literally sit here, play video games for hours and hours and hours and hours on end. And I'm always playing with my friends, and me and my friends just make jokes. We laugh around. We make some funny content. And I'm thinking to myself one day, why don't I just record this and see where it goes, you know? So one random day over the summer, I just made it, you know, just went for it. So made a channel, made a streaming account, and got my equipment together and just went for it. And now here I am. It's been a bit slowed down heavily, mainly because, you know, I'm still in college, so I have to kind of find that balance between, oh, excuse me, doing real life stuff alongside actually like streaming. But most of the time, it's just, you know, figuring out what the next skit is or what the next video is going to be or something that I can do in the heat of the moment. But sometimes, most of the time, it's not even me planning for it. You know, I normally just, it's spontaneous. Like, I'll be in the middle of playing a game, and the next thing you know, something interesting will pop up. I capture it, and then bam, it's uploaded. And there would be the occasional times where, yes, I would plan for specific things and specific videos, and that's what I would go for. And at the time, it was kind of working out that way, but I have to remember that I still have a lot of growing to go. Like, I'm still very much a small channel, a small, like, streamer, everything else between. I have friends that I know personally that have skyrocketed in the leagues, but then again, they've been in this sort of game for like years now. You know, I've only been in this for like a couple of years now at most. And on top of me doing this for college, on top of that, it's kind of weird finding that nifty little balance. Like, there's so many different obstacles, but at the same time, you just got to work with what you've got at the end of the day.
Most definitely, most definitely. Okay, I feel that. So, when it comes to video games, give us a brief rundown of some of the games that you play, some of the games that you stream for people that don't know.
For me, I like to mainly try to engage with my audience as much as possible. So I'll play a bunch of multiplayer games. I'll play stuff that's like available on all consoles that everybody can like link up with me. For example, the other night I was playing Rocket League, which you can play on both Xbox, PlayStation, and computer. And I try to include as many people as possible. Another thing that everybody loves to come back to for my streams is Monster Hunter a lot, because that's just a massive game that anybody can grab. I mean, granted, it's not something that can be played across all consoles simultaneously at the same time, but it's more of just the atmosphere. You know, everybody's here for the exact same thing. Everybody's getting the help that they need inside the game on top of that, and everybody's just here for a good time at the end of the day. I try to play something that will be entertaining for not just myself, but for the audience at the same time. Because even the mentality that I like to adopt with the streaming is, even as long as nobody's watching, you know, even if nobody's there, as long as I'm still having fun at the end of the day, that's what matters. You know, I mean, and if people come into the stream to enjoy that sort of content, then that's also a bonus. So it's more of just the mindset that you go into for everything. And with most of the games that I play, I like to have it sort of reflect whatever I can do. You know, if I want to be funny, I'll play a stupidly funny game or something that's a little gimmicky or a little broken. If I'm trying to get serious and show off, I'll play something like Call of Duty or something that I'm very skilled at. So that way people can be like, oh my gosh, this guy's actually pretty good. Or if, you know, I'm in the mood to make people laugh, I'll play something that infuriates me from time to time.
Okay, okay. Now, you mentioned, you know, playing Call of Duty, which happens to be, I would like to think, some of everybody's favorite video game to play. So what is that like, you know, playing games like Call of Duty and mentally having to be in that mindset to, you know, go into the game mentally and really do what you got to do to kind of beat the game, should I say?
It's difficult when it comes to that sort of thing. Well, it's difficult in two different fronts. One, whenever you're making a YouTube video, you have a mass catalog of people that are uploading the exact same content that you have to make sure that you're doing something that stands out, or something that'll make people laugh a little bit harder than the other videos that are out there, or something that you're doing that nobody else is doing, or even if there are times where you have to stay up to be the first one to make a video on it, then that's just what you have to do. It's a race for making sure you get your video out there first for people to see it. It's a race for people to make sure that, oh, you know, I'm one that's going to be trending, or even better, I'm got to be the thing that's got to have this sort of content in it. And when it comes to YouTube, it's a lot easier than what it is streaming. Because on the streaming platform, people like to see people win. People like to see people at the top of the leaderboard. People like to see people pull off these amazing, incredible feats. So when it comes to streaming, it's a heck of a lot more difficult. It's kind of like that notion. I remember there was a song that said the lyric, but I forgot exactly what it was. It said, anybody can, it's easy to get the spotlight. The hard part is keeping it. So it's that's how it is with streaming. It's a lot more difficult to do something as popular or as fast paced as Call of Duty is, because there are already hundreds upon thousands of people that are absorbing the audience from you, and you kind of have to fight for it a little bit more. While, say, on YouTube, you just have to make sure that your content's unique, that it's funny, that it reaches out to different people, and then at that point you just let it build up over time.
Okay. All right. So when it comes to your audience, what type of audience do you mainly get throughout your streams?
It's a mix sometimes. Like, whenever I'm like spending days on end playing the exact same game, then I'll get more of an audience that's catered towards that sort of game. You know, there will be people that are variety streamers that play a massive multitude of games, and then you have those that only play a select handful, or you have those that just play one game entirely, and then they just build off their audience from there. Like, for example, most of my crowd that I've built up over, I'd say, maybe the year or so that I've streamed, mostly comes from like one specific game. And whenever I have that happen, whenever I branch out to another game, some of that audience will join for that, but most of them are just here for what they came here for. They came for one specific game, so they're really going to tune in whenever that stuff sort of happens. Otherwise, it's more of a mixed crowd. You have the people that are here for the game, you have the people that want to get to know you, you have the people that are there to just like do the most out of pocket stuff, but you know, at that point, that's just a whole different diverse little crowd of people. You have the people that are there for, just say, artists that are there to just try and share their art. You have people that want to network with you, and then there's also the occasional people that just want to try and plug their stuff because you're popular, and those I try to avoid as much as possible. But sometimes it can't be helped, because there are times where, hey, this guy actually has some good content, I'd love to support them anyway. But then you have those that are only there to just try and get their stuff promoted, and then that's the kind of crowd I try to avoid at most of the time.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now allow me to ask this question. So, you know, you mentioned, kind of switching gears for a second, you kind of brought up, you know, that you do photography and things like that. What has that been like, you know, taking pictures and doing photos and things of that nature?
For photography, it's more, I'm at the point where I guess I could say I'm somewhat of an amateur when it comes to taking pictures. I'm definitely brand new when it comes to making videos on top of that, or at least not, say, you know, video game videos and streaming videos and stuff like that. It's more of like actual professional film and, you know, videography and stuff like that. That's what's really new to me. And it's definitely a challenge to try and blend the two, because it's almost impossible in a way. You can't really blend photography and film into video game stuff in a way. It's definitely a tricky thing to do. It's possible to pull off. There are countless people on YouTube that have done it, but it's definitely two different sides that I've honestly learned to embrace a little bit, because I go to school for photography. I'm majoring in it, and a little bit of film as well. So I want to start to build up that side as much as I built up my streaming, because eventually that's something that I'm going to, you know, make a real living off of at some point. Granted, as much as I wish that I could like make streaming and YouTubing and all that stuff my dream job, there's only so much that I can do with, you know, what I have. It's all about, you know, being ahead of the curve and being able to have all the equipment, to be able to have all this stuff to actually make more. But you can't really do that if you don't have something to really like support it, you know? It's like loading a bunch of stuff into a house with no foundation. It's just going to fall through. But when it comes to photography and videography, it's more of discovering what you want in your vision with it. Because I've seen countless different people that do various different styles of photography. I've dabbled and gotten a little bit of inspiration from that every now and again. And I'm starting to say that I've kind of found my niche in some way, shape, or form. But it's more of just like taking it all in that it'll work. It's honing what makes it unique and actually building. You take care of it, it's going to put away, and you're going to start with nothing.
Most definitely, most definitely. Okay, so do you have any YouTube influencers that influence you that has helped you to become, you know, more of a streamer on YouTube?
Yes, there are honestly a couple that I can name off the top of my head. There are a few that I grew up with and started watching when I was a little kid, and there are those that I've tuned into recently. I've mainly started to not just branch into just video game worlds, but I'm also branching into a little bit of the photography scene as well, looking for all of these different influencers to just kind of gain a little bit of inspiration. For example, on the gaming side of things, I look towards big names like, say, Markiplier or Jacksepticeye, and those people that are constantly streaming and are always playing games and are always entertaining people, and they always bring something new and creative to the table. So I like to take a little bit from that every now and again. But there are also people on the photography side that I'm still learning about and trying to discover. Most people are showing off, say, tutorials, how-tos, and everything else in between on that nature. But there are the select handful that basically showcase their life in photography. Rather than it just being a simple vlog, it's actually them going out, making something, and then sharing it with everybody. Let it be the process of how it's going, or say, for example, how they go about it, what's their mental, what their mindset is, how creative they think they're going to be with a specific piece. There's so many aspects that go into, say, photography and videography that's just totally different than I even didn't expect. I'm still learning from so many different things, and I'm taking classes on it, and I'm watching all these influencers for it, and it's definitely something brand new.
Okay. So when you go into doing photos and taking photos, what type of scenery do you mainly go for?
I like daytime shoots. Mainly, the only reason I love the nighttime shoots as well, but it's a lot trickier to actually get a decent picture in night than it is in day. Whenever you're, for example, taking a daytime photo, everything's there, lighting is there, but more specifically, I try to aim for what photographers like to call the golden hour. It's when it's either sunrise or sunset. It's that perfect golden glow that everybody's trying to look for. That perfect angle where the light just hits everybody in the perfect place.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to plan for it as much as possible when it comes to that sort of stuff, because if you plan for it ahead of time, then you get the perfect shot that you're looking for. But sometimes a bit of spontaneous photo shoots or stuff that happens as you're moving and stuff that happens in motion is what you're looking to capture as well. And that's where videography comes in, because I ended up learning this with the most recent class that I took. After just recording, say, like a regular person just walking, after just hanging out with somebody, you're recording everything that's going on and capturing things in motion. Not only is it like a nice long video, but it's upon hundreds of thousands of photos and maybe, say, a single minute of film that you can take and dig from, that you just have all of these beautiful moments that you can try and capture. And you didn't even really need to plan for it. All you were doing was just recording it and just following along with motion. And you get these beautiful pictures and these beautiful moments. And it's really nice when it all comes together, although it can be frustrating to try and get it to come together. But probably I would like to say that aiming for daytime has always been a goal for me. It's not that I don't have the stuff to do nighttime shoots, it's just that it requires a lot more control that I probably don't have over certain things. Like, say, I don't have control over where I'm staying because some of the neighbors' lights are getting in the way. Or say I don't have control over the city that I'm in because, say, there's too many lights that are going on, or maybe I'm trying to go for, say, a sky shoot to try and capture the stars, but there's too much light on the ground. There's so many factors that you have to try to keep in your control that it makes it difficult.
Okay. So for all the people that are in photography and doing photography and are, becoming a videographer or a photographer, what advice do you have for them to keep them motivated, to keep them going?
I would say, other than the fact that your most powerful camera that you can have on you is what's in your pocket, always take inspiration. It's okay to do so. It's okay to experiment with other people's styles that they've chosen to see if it fits you, because you remix it at the end of the day. You figure out what you want to do, what your niche is, what you like to see, and if you can possibly replicate it and master it in a way, then by all means you can just adapt it to your own style. That's kind of how most people do it in art as well. They look up different references and different people's photos and drawings and how they perform and how they basically just, make the work that they produce. And they apply it to what they know, and see if they can't make something new out of it. It's more of remixing and figuring out what it is that you want to do, whatever you want to photograph at the end of the day. And it's not necessarily something that I would say let anybody shut down, because at the end of the day, it's your vision. You know, people might not see eye to eye on it, and it's okay to kind of help people figure out what your vision is in a way. But until you get to that point, and until you're able to like truly make that sort of decision, then what you can do is just build off of what you have. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment. Like, there's no need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on the top of the line gear if you're only going to be doing like some of the most simple stuff. I mean, granted, it's good to have that, but it's not necessary, you know? I would probably say you can honestly be a successful photographer just by using your phone and anything that's free that you can use to edit. And the magic not only happens in just taking photos, but it also happens in editing. And I guess another thing that I would say is patience is like a big thing. You know, photos aren't necessarily meant to be rushed. You're meant to take your time. You're meant to just look at every single little thing that you can change. And once you think you're satisfied with it, look for something you can add to make it a little bit better. That little point of satisfaction where you're thinking, okay, I think I'm done with this. That's basically the point where you want to try and do more. That's the point where you want to try and push a little bit more, because that's where the real magic comes out of it. And it's definitely a little difficult to get into that mentality. I'm still trying to make sure that I adopt it to everything that I do around me myself. But once you actually do figure it out, once you do get that motivation, that drive going, then honestly, it really works out.
Okay. So, you know, you spoke on editing and things of that nature. How often does it take, how long usually does it take for you to edit and, you know, put things, you know, out there to be published to the world?
It depends on the complexity of what I'm doing. Like, if I'm doing, say, for example, like a simple video or a simple photo, then the editing will probably take maybe less than 5 minutes. But say, for example, I remember I actually was doing a photo shoot for one of my college buddies. We were sitting down, and normally I would just do my simple editing that would just take maybe 5 minutes or so, depending on how many photos were there, depending on what else needed to be done. But at the same time, if they want something done specifically, the more that they request, the longer it's going to take, depending on how hard it is. Like, for example, there are some people that say, oh, they come do a photo shoot, they'll take photos, but then they want some blemishes removed. Or say they have a few spots that are just like, they don't want in the photo to make their skin look a little better. Some of that fine-tuned editing can go from anywhere between, say, 15 minutes to days even, depending on how precise you need to be and how much you have to work with. So, for example, just a portrait shot, or just like, say, you know, something from the top of your head down to your shoulders, that's simple to do. Nothing too crazy. But if it's a full body and they also want to make sure that everything is removed that doesn't need to be there, or they have specific blemishes or marks that they want removed, on top of making sure that the picture is as clear as possible, that can take hours upon hours of making sure that that editing is done. And it requires that amount of time. It's not necessarily something that can be rushed, let alone, I mean, there are shortcuts you can take, but some shortcuts aren't necessarily the best route that you need to take, rather than just taking your time, going through that simple process and seeing what's out there and what else you can really like do in terms of just like the photo. And sometimes you might even need to do an entire reshoot even. And that's probably the most frustrating part of it all. It's like you do all this work and then it says, you know what, all these photos aren't clear enough, or the person isn't satisfied with it, and you have to reschedule, do another reshoot, and then try it again from scratch.
Okay. All right, so now switching gears, you spoke about being in college. Now, what school do you attend, and how long have you been doing the college thing?
I attend the Savannah College of Art and Design, specifically in Atlanta, Georgia. That's where I'm going to be heading at the end of the week. I'm going to be heading back for my winter quarter. And something that interests me about this whole school thing, I've been doing it for a grand total of 3 years now. I'm a junior. I still have maybe 1 or 2 more years to go before I finally finish off all my classes, graduate, and go through that. But I've seen the Savannah campus, the Atlanta campus, and there are actually 2 more campuses that are international. There's one in Hong Kong and there's one in Europe. And I don't think I'm going to be going to either of those campuses, but personally, being in the city of Atlanta with the career path that I've chosen is probably been like the best thing ever. Not only that, there's so much culture in Atlanta. You see so many things. There are so many artists, so many film people, actors and actresses. You have film majors that are there. So many people to network with that are here for the same reason you are, to be creative, to make their vision come to life. And granted, they say it's a little bit tricky to mostly do some of the things that you want to do in Atlanta, but mainly because of how creative it is and what sort of things are going on. Like, one thing, for example, that I say would be something tricky is when it comes to being a film major, depending on where you go and depending on what mindset you have or what visions that you want to put out will determine what people you need to interact with. And doing sort of stuff like that in such a culture rich city like Atlanta, it's a bit like, it's almost like a minefield if you're not careful enough. You have so many different cultural blends. You have so many people from so many different branches of life and communities that come to Atlanta to feel free and get that creativity that they want. But if you're not able to, meet that standard, or you step a little bit out of line, then it's not necessarily a good place that you want to be at that point.
Okay. I definitely appreciate you, man, for speaking on this so candidly and so openly. Real quick, switching gears, man. We've, of course, been dealing with a lot, this year of 2020, man. And what I want to know from you, man, is how have you been dealing with everything that's been going on? And, has it helped you, or has it, what has it done mainly for you, basically?
Well, 2020 has been crap ever since this pandemic ended up hitting. It's definitely something that is difficult to work around. When people losing jobs, people being unemployed, people actually being infected with the virus and not being able to travel anywhere, places entirely shutting down, it makes you totally change in a way. Like, this is mainly just me speaking for myself, but I'm sure a lot of other people definitely feel it. But what's been going on this year has completely changed everybody in some way, shape, or form. Let it be how we act, our hobbies, our personalities, anything, honestly. From the smallest things to the biggest of things, from who we talk to, how we connect with other people, and everything else in between. It's definitely one big change that none of us were ready for. And having to adapt to it now is just more than difficult. I mean, granted, things are lighting up a little bit, but at the same time, it's still there. And one thing that I like to try and, tell people, especially with all this, is that next year, all this stuff isn't just going to magically go away. Everybody's like, oh, yay, 2020 is finally almost over. But yeah, this year is over, but the problems that we have are still here. They're still going to be here until they're solved. So 2021 isn't going to be some magical switch that once it gets flipped, then all of this stuff that we've been dealing with is going to magically go away. We still have a lot of work to do. Let it be for music artists, entertainers, people that are actually out there dealing with the virus, people that are in the medical field, people that are still trying to make their businesses work, people that are unemployed, working from home even, people that just don't have much because of all this. It sucks. It definitely sucks. And even me personally, thinking of ways that I can contribute. I've done charity before. I actually did a charity for Christmas actually this year. We were giving to the Red Nose Day Foundation for food relief during COVID. And even just being a source of entertainment so that way people aren't down or sitting in the dark or just, not feeling the best is more than enough. That's why I honestly love to be an entertainer in a way. To just see one person show up to say a stream, or one person say, oh, this is really cool, I like what you're doing, or somebody to say, oh, I've lifted up my spirits a little bit because of this, that's more than enough for me to feel accomplished. Even if nobody shows up to any of my content that I put out, as long as one person were to say, hey, this made me feel better in some way, shape, or form, that's more than enough for me.
Okay. So now, real quick, when it comes to your goals and aspirations, what goals and aspirations do you have set for 2021?
2021, I want to get my photography off the ground just as much as I've gotten my streaming and my YouTube. I want to be able to do editing for not just photos but videos. I want to be able to have my own little freelance thing in Atlanta. I want to be able to go out and take more pictures for other people, actually start making a name for myself, putting a business out there, getting my name in the know a little bit. I want to be able to just have that one email that's just filled up with requests of people wanting photos, wanting promotion, wanting to make deals and contracts. I want to be able to not just do that, but for the freshmen that I'm going to encounter whenever I'm back on campus, I want to be able to guide those people in the right direction, figure out and help them figure out what they can do during this pandemic, what they can do to keep themselves motivated and not be so cooped up in their rooms. Because at first I thought it was going to be very difficult to make friends whenever I got back on campus because of how quarantine is set. Not everybody can go visit each other's rooms. We can't really be in certain places without 6 foot distance or wearing masks. So not a lot of people were leaving their places or their dorm rooms, mainly because of these rules. They'd stay inside. And I was lucky enough to meet a group of friends that I call my own, and we all just hang out every now and again. I want to be able to just do that sort of thing. I really want to push myself a little bit harder to making a name for myself in the world of just film, photography, streaming, YouTube, whatever I can get my hands on.
Okay, okay. Now, with that being said, do you feel like everything that you've done thus far, do you feel like this has been predestined for you to do, or do you feel like this is something that you know for a fact that you wanted to do?
This is something definitely that I wanted to do, but I didn't think that it would be at this degree. I thought that this would be something similar, just like, say a hobby that I do, something that I do every now and again, but not seeing that it's become an established part of my day-to-day in a way. Like, for example, I'd wake up thinking with the mentality of, okay, I got to start thinking of another video to put out. I got to start thinking of a few other things that I need to do for streaming. I got to start thinking of a few other things that I need to just visit, some people I need to talk to, how I can boost this, how I can do this differently. What did I do correctly? What I can build off of. And as good as it seems, it's still difficult for me to do, because not only are the people that I do work with, they have financial stability, they have these jobs that they can work, they're also able to just do this almost on a daily basis. But me, I can only really pull it off maybe 3 times out of the week, and then occasionally make a video with whatever I have on hand. I don't have the best computer. I don't have every single console or video game that's out right now. So I'm kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel, but at the same time, that's allowing me to make sure that what I do put out is the best sort of content possible. It's not rushed because it's already been out for a while now. It's not anything that's trying to fight against something else, because at the same time, nobody's really doing much on it, so I have more creative freedom. It lets me take my time a little bit, mainly because, I have to at this point. Everything's going slow, so I might as well go ahead and pace myself accordingly. And it lets me just figure out what I want to do. And do I think that this is something that I've been destined to do in a way? Perhaps. But at the same time, destiny works in weird ways. Things could be like they are right now, or they could instantly change in the next 24 hours, It's all about me going with the flow, I'm choosing photography and film as my major, as a career that I want to pursue. But if things change and I actually figure out what my calling might be, if this isn't even it, then that's what I'm going to instantly jump towards,
Most definitely, most definitely. Okay, so whenever you decide to hang it all up and decide to do something completely different, what is it about you as a person, and with everything that you've done in your career or in your life, what is it about you that you want people to always remember about you?
One thing that I would say I would want to leave behind, or necessarily not say leave behind, but just something to go off of, is, well, what I'm capable of even. I've done a bunch of different things before. And granted, everybody says, oh, you could do this for a living. But then I'm just thinking, I'm not sure if I want to do this every single day of my life just yet. But there are some things that I'm proud of, and I want other people to be proud of. I want people to be proud of the fact that I can not only just sit and play a video game for hours and hours on end and make videos off of it, but I also play instruments. I play the trumpet, I play tuba, I can play a little bit of saxophone. I'm learning bass guitar every now and again. I'm just kind of pacing myself in terms of that. I want people to notice that I'm able to just basically pull off academics. I want people to know that I'm a hard worker, that I'm dedicated to whatever I set my mind to. I recently ended up finding out that I hit the dean's list this quarter. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was something that I didn't even know that I could pull off, because it's already difficult enough to hit the dean's list in any school, really.
Right.
And that's just another thing that I can add to my resume and my portfolio, That's another acknowledgement that people can honestly look at. But if I wanted to just say hang all this stuff up, is that I gave it a shot anyway, you know? I gave it my best effort. Granted, it wasn't for me, but I'm still proud of the fact that I tried it anyway. It's all about trying everything that you think could be new, something that you're interested in. If you think that you might want to try it, then don't just sit there and wait, do it. I didn't just think, oh, I'll probably try streaming in a couple years. No, I went for it literally that day just to see where it went. I mean, granted, it was slow, but I stuck with it for a little bit after learning, hey, this is going to take a while to build up, see where it goes from there. And here I am now, still making content, still streaming, still doing photography and film, mainly because I still enjoy it personally. It's something that I would love to do.
Most definitely, most definitely. All right, so when it comes to social media has been a big presence. How do you feel like social media has helped you and benefited you, in doing what you're doing?
A lot more people are definitely on social media now more than ever due to this pandemic. And I personally believe that social media can be the thing that makes or breaks a person in their career. If nobody's like really getting their name out there in any other way or necessarily trying to contact different people or network in a way, then it causes issues, it causes problems, and you're starting to lag behind a little bit. But using it as a tool to just help out and make things work is what really, can make a business or make a career or make somebody really go out there. There are things that I've tried on social media. I found it as a source of entertainment. People have found my content through stuff like Instagram or Twitter, or let alone even server apps like Discord, or things of just emails even on top of that. You have people sharing your video links all over social media, and it reaches somebody at some point. But due to the pandemic, definitely now more than ever, people are stuck at home. They need something to do, right? So most of the time you'll find that people are all over social media. People are all over the web trying to figure out what works for them, what's going to continue to push like the boundaries, the limitations. Like, for example, I've seen on social media that virtual YouTubing has become like a major trend. It's something that just thrives off of it. You see all these people with animated characters, and they aren't even showing their real faces either. And they're just playing games or talking with their audience or going to various different events. Everything is changing, and it's all because people have all this time on their hands and nothing really to do with it, so they fuel it either into creativity or trying to be as productive as possible. So social media definitely has changed in a way, and it's definitely helped me out in terms of finding the help that I need to, say, start promotion or get in contact with different people so I can start building up my own path in terms of streaming, YouTubing, film, photography. It's helped me network a little bit more since I don't have to worry about being out all the time and missing out on emails or important people's contacts, because people are in different time zones all over the world on top of that. And you might try and contact somebody that, say, is in the UK, which is 9 times out of 10, they're going to be asleep by now. But you also have people that are also in LA that are still just starting their day in a way. So it definitely helps with social media to not only work with time constraints, but to also get your name out there, to help out with influencing and everything else in between.
Okay. All right. So real quick, talk us a little bit about your growing up. What was it like growing up as a kid and finally coming into your own, as a man? What was that childhood like?
It was definitely unique. I'm the youngest out of 3, so while my brother and sister got it a little more difficult than I did, I definitely grew up a bit more privileged than they did. I mean, there were times where I would hear stories about how bad my brother and my sister got it because my mom would be staying and helping out with my grandmother and my grandfather at the time, and how things had always been changing and shifting in so many different ways that it just caused, I wouldn't necessarily say a shift, but it allowed me to kind of grow up a little bit more stable than how my brother and sister were. But as I grew up, I began to notice, especially around high school, that I was trying to be put on a path that was completely opposite of my brother and sister. And not to say that they haven't ended up in a lovely life that they are already in. My brother and sister both have their own place to stay. They both started families. They're both just working and living their life. And my mom also wants that for me, but on a much greater scale compared to what they've gotten. My mother, more than anything, my mother has been probably the biggest influencer and decision maker in my life. It's just how it goes. And she's always trying to make sure that I'm staying focused on what I need to be doing, always staying on the right path, always working forward and not just sitting down doing nothing, you know? She's always trying to make sure that I'm always doing anything and everything within my power to push myself forward. And it's kind of like I would feel like I would be molded in a way. Like I'm being put into something, or like I guess like a shape that I'm not necessarily meant to fit into. Like it's not that it's a bad thing. It's more of me realizing that they're helping me get on the path that I need to be on. You know, they're helping out with my career. They're helping me out realize that there are more important things than what I'm currently doing right now. And I thank them and appreciate them for it. Granted, it might frustrate me a little bit, but at the end of the day, they're there to help me. And I appreciate them greatly for doing that sort of stuff. And until I finally like sit down and realize everything that's coming to me and start to appreciate all the things that they've given me in a way, that I'll start to improve a little bit more. And growing up now, it's definitely I can say been easier for me than it has been for, say, my brother or my sister. You know, my brother would say things like, "Oh, it was definitely a lot difficult for me than it was for you. You had got it a lot easier than we did." And my sister would definitely instantly agree with him. And it's not that, you know, I don't blame them. You know, I definitely can notice it. I've definitely got it easier. I've had it easier than they did growing up. Granted, they grew up in a different time than I am now, but at the same time, it's still there. It's still noticeable. So when it comes to me growing up, I was definitely pushed a lot harder to make sure that I didn't make any mistakes and that I didn't fall into any bad habits that anybody else in the family might have, and that I was, you know, put as the good child in the way. I mean, not to say that my brother and sister aren't, but you know, I was put on that path to make sure that nothing bad would happen and that I was always going to be able to go where I wanted to go, do what I wanted to do without any sort of restraint or having to worry about anything.
Most definitely, most definitely. Well, definitely shouts out to your mom. Um, it definitely sounds like she's all the way in your corner, so that's always a positive thing. Definitely continue to continue to love your mom and do what you got to do to get her to push you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right. So real quick, the name CritStatus. How did you come up with that? And where did it come from?
This is one that I'm still trying to figure out, honestly. I decided at first it had everything to do with just Afro gaming for a little bit, but that sounded way too generic, and so many people had it, and it was more of trying to figure out what worked at the time. So I kind of
Right.
went off of something that was in a video game that I was playing. You know, critical hits basically is something that's just like cookie cutter in terms of video games. It's bonus damage, you know, double of whatever you can put out. And I decided to kind of just go with that in a way. It worked out because I would always try and go for those hard hitting moves, or I would always try to give double of whatever I'm doing at the time. So it kind of just stemmed from that in a way. And the name kind of just stuck, and I've been rocking with it for a little bit. I don't think I'm going to change it anytime soon because I can't think of anything else. But overall, that's where most of it's come from. Just basically me playing these video games and making sure that I give extra of whatever's been put into me in a way.
Okay, I feel that. All right, so now where are you from originally?
Greensboro, North Carolina, born and raised.
Okay, okay. Now, how old are you, by the way?
21 years old. I turned 22 at the end of January. Although I will say my 21st birthday wasn't as spectacular as everybody else's should be in a way. Because while everybody else like, oh, I'm 21, I'm gonna go out and party, I'm gonna go out have my first drink with my friends, da 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 da. Nah, my 21st birthday was say, oh hey, you're 21 years old. Welcome to your first surgery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I woke up 8 o'clock in the morning, made my way over because I had a cyst in my neck for a little bit.
Okay.
It wasn't anything serious. It was kind of just like a overgrown like freaking lymph node that was in my neck that was kind of swollen, and we couldn't necessarily do a regular closed biopsy to get it removed or checked out. So I had to go in. They put me to sleep. They got it removed, and I spent my whole birthday in a hospital bed.
Wow. Yeah, that's tough, my guy. But thankfully, you're still alive. You're still here. So that's the most important thing.
Probably was the best gift ever. That was the best sleep ever, more than anything. I'll say that much.
Most definitely, most definitely. All right, now what's your zodiac sign?
I guess I could say I'm an Aquarius. I'm not sure if I'm a rising anything or a falling anything else, but I was born on the 29th of January, so all I know is that I'm a default Aquarius. I don't normally dip into zodiac signs as like intensely as most other people do. I just know what I am. I know what the other ones are. I kind of can't remember what month each one falls under. I'm trying to a little bit, but other than that, yeah, all I know is that basically I'm.
I also happen to be an Aquarius, so shouts out to the Aquarius all out there. Aquarius
Yeah.
gang. You already know how it go. All right, so real quick, what else can we expect from you before the end of 2020? Like, what can we be on the lookout for from you for 2020?
Um, at the end of 2020, I'm not exactly sure, honestly. I know right now I'm just kind of just doing my normal thing, streaming, making videos, but it's not necessarily more of what people can expect at the end of 2020. It's more of what people can expect next year, 2021. Because next year, I plan to start my photography channel and my video channels so I can start actually having a place to put my photography and my videography out there. You know, instead of just like, oh, simple pictures and skits that you can put on Instagram. No, I want to actually work towards my career in a way. So at the start of 2021, at the moment I basically get back on campus, I'm going to get my hands on some hardware. I'm going to basically make my second channel and actually work on it and make films and make videos and give photo walkthroughs of just what I'm doing at the time. I'll go out on photo shoots, and as I'm going out, I'll record everything that's going on, show the process of everything, and then when I get back, I can show myself editing and everything else between. So everybody can see what I'm working on as I release it, you know? So I want to have everything built up just as much as my other half of me. You know, I have the side of me that's working on my photography and my film career, and then I have the other half of me that wants to turn my gaming and video gaming into hobbies and something that I can actually, like, you know, call my own in a way. And I still do. And that's definitely what I can expect, or what everybody else can expect, honestly, towards the start of next year. But for the end of this year, I'm just trying to make sure that I just, you know, end it off on a somewhat decent note. You know, like I said, I did charity for a little bit. I'm, you know, making sure that other people are having a nice Christmas and people aren't necessarily suffering too much from COVID. And I'm doing my best to just, you know, make sure that I'm okay before I go back to school. You know, because anything can happen. You know, there are some people that are in my family that have been diagnosed with the virus. There are some people that are around me that have also caught it. There are some people that were on campus for a little bit that had to transfer and go home immediately because they were under a threat of actually getting it.
Wow.
And there's so much that can happen. So it's more just making sure that I'm looking over my shoulder, making sure that everything's okay for me, so that way nothing really messes with me, but also making sure that my family and friends are okay at the same time. It's definitely a lot. And hopefully I can make that work, you know?
Okay. All right. So real quick, as we go to bring this to a close, I got a few rapid fire questions that I want to ask you. And it's nothing too major, but just something basic. But what is your favorite dream destination?
My favorite dream destination that I want to go to, Tokyo, Japan. So much culture, so much good food, so many artists that are over there, and so much music. It's just so many bright lights that I want to go to Tokyo so badly. I cannot wait until I can get enough money to go there.
Okay. All right. Now give us your dream car.
Dream car. Oh, there's two of them. Okay, no, the main one that I want a Maserati one day.
Okay.
It's just the sleek design. It's not as compact and squared as a Lamborghini would be. It's got a lot of curves on it. It's definitely more sleek, and it's just, oh my God, I love it. I love Maserati so much.
Okay. Give us your favorite color.
Favorite color would be purple. I never really found it to be my favorite color until I started wearing it. I was like, you know, I never catch myself wearing purple. It doesn't look that good on clothes. And the next thing I wore it one day, and I'm like, you know what? That actually might be a good thing, actually.
Okay. Okay. Give us your favorite movie.
Favorite movie has to be, I'd say, any of the Avengers movies. More specifically, the last one, but I don't like to talk about it.
Okay. 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 Give us your favorite food.
Favorite food? If I were to say what my favorite food was, it would probably have to be macaroni and cheese, but not just like stovetop macaroni. It has to be the oven baked, you know?
Okay. Give us your favorite holiday.
Favorite holiday? Halloween, because of free candy.
Okay. Give us your favorite song.
Favorite song has to be from Kendrick Lamar. What was it? Good Kid, Mad City.
Okay, okay. Now give us your favorite comedian.
My favorite, say again?
Your favorite comedian.
That's a hard one. I want to say Cat Williams because he just makes me laugh a little too hard.
Okay,
Richard
okay.
Pryor, my mama said.
Richard Pryor. Hey, listen, ain't nothing wrong with. Hey, he's definitely one of the greats. Okay, so my next question I want to ask is, what is your favorite video game of all time?
Okay, Final Fantasy VII. That has to be the first game that I remember getting on the original PlayStation 1. And oh my gosh, I did not put it down. I still haven't beaten it, actually.
Okay, now give us your ultimate dream. Like, what's your ultimate dream job?
My ultimate dream job, other than owning my own business one day in terms of photography, I want to be able to turn streaming and video stuff and video making into my career. You know, even if it isn't just video games or just me showing off my filmmaking skills and photography skills, it's something that I really want to do.
Okay, and so my last and final question: once you make it big and once you make it to the top, who are you taking with you to up there? Who are you taking up there with you to the big
Um,
leagues?
my family and everybody who's been behind me since day one.
Most definitely, most definitely. Well, real quick, brother, we definitely want to take this opportunity right now to thank you for coming on here and chopping it up with us. It has been fun. It has been so eye-opening. It's been amazing. Real quick, let people know where they can follow you at, where they can tap in with you at.
You can follow me basically on the channel that you see here, CritStatus on Instagram. Also, I have my photography page, Hargrace Photography. I'm going to be uploading more of that whenever I get into 2021, especially when I get back on campus. Other than that, Twitter a little bit. I haven't necessarily opened up my Twitter that much, but I'm mainly on Instagram here.
Okay, okay. Well, as I said, brother, we definitely appreciate you. We thank you so, so much. Like I said, I definitely can't wait to see what's next for you in 2021 because I know it's going to be epic. I know it's going to be huge. Shouts out to you and everything that you got going on. Keep applying pressure. Keep doing what you're doing. Shouts out to your family, the whole 9 yards. Y'all make sure y'all stay safe. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely look forward to bringing you back someday, all right?
Most definitely. Thank you so much for having me, dude.
Most definitely. It's my pleasure and my honor. Take care of yourself, all right?
You too, man.
All right. And there you guys have it, episode 170 with the homie CritStatus. I want to take this opportunity to thank you guys for joining me on another edition of Independent Scene, the podcast. It was definitely eye-opening, definitely a lot of things, a lot of gems were dropped, a lot of notes was taken. So definitely make sure you guys go back and share and like and comment. Share this with your friends and your family. I thank you guys for tuning in. This has been my time. And as I always say, stay safe, stay blessed, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. I love every single last one of you. Happy holidays to each of you. I hope you guys will have a prosperous 2020. I mean, not 2020, 2021 New Year. Real quick, I got to give a shout out to Deja Monet. What's good? Real West Rick. What's good? Alexis Spike from Sunday Best. What's happening? Good to see you. Good to see you. Shy Money was good. Mo 956 was good. Ty Music was good. Isabella was good. B Funk was good. Lil Shorty was good. AP, what up? The Real Voice of Raleigh, no comparison. You know what I'm saying? Really dope Chuck, what up? Mr. Stolas was good. Thank you guys. Thank each of you for joining me on this podcast. Like I said, this has been my time. I've enjoyed every single one of you, but make sure you guys stay tuned because I will have more content coming. You guys can go follow me right now at Honcho J23. That's HONCHOJAY 23 on all platforms. Wherever you type in that name, you will find me. And I hope that you guys, like I said, will continue to be great and be superstars and really continue to do your thing. And as I get ready to close this out, I'm gonna play my intro for all of you that missed it. This is an intro for my podcast. That is, you know what I'm saying, it's the Honcho J theme. That was created by the homie Black Trail. So as I close you guys out with this intro, I want to say once again, thank you for joining me and rocking with me throughout this entire year. I have truly been humbled, and I'm truly blessed and honored to be able to bring you guys this content this whole entire year. And I cannot wait to see what 2021 has in store for us. So with that being said, I love you guys. I will see you guys next time. And as I said, I'm about to play this song, and I hope that you guys will enjoy. And I will see you guys on another edition of Independent Scene, the podcast. This is your boy Honcho J23, and I'm out.
J Show. Joey Barsh, bitch. Tell me the words. Tell me the words. Just let me know. Hey, just let me know. You are now tuning in to the Hacho J Show. Give me the words. Give me the words. Just let me know. Just let me know. You are now tuning in to the Hacho J Show. Yeah, Hacho J. 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 This is the Hacho J Show. Yeah, yeah.